Good morning, everybody. Welcome to class. Hi, Ellen.
Good morning. Thank you.
Wait.
Good morning.
Hi, Laura. Hi, Madhu.
Good
Nice to
morning.
see you.
Thank you. Nice to be here. I have a day off of work, so I'm
Good morning.
All right.
enjoying.
Good morning, Madhu. Excellent. All right. Well, we'll see who else is going to join us. All right. Well, we'll get ourselves comfortable and get your water or your tea or coffee or whatever it is you're going to enjoy. We have Anthony today from support that will help us with any technical issues if we're having troubles hearing or seeing or any of the little things that can come up when we're using technology. So that's great. Good to see some familiar faces. If you'd like, it'd be great if you could put your camera on. It's nice to see who's in class this morning. And thank you for showing up on time. We're trying to really have people get to class within the first 5 minutes so that we don't have disruptions, or we can make sure we can verify everybody that's in the class. So that's great. Okay, well, I'm going to open up my chat box so I have that off to the side so I can see if you have questions. I actually really enjoy when you use the reactions button. If you do have a question, if you want to just either raise your hand like this, and I can usually see that, or use the reactions button to raise your electronic hand, and then I can for sure see it. And if I'm able to, within the context of what I'm doing, answer the question, I usually like to do it right then and there so it gets answered when it's on top of mind. Otherwise, if the class gets too busy, too many interruptions, I usually like to just try and get through the material and then answer the questions at the end. But I'm pretty good at just getting the questions done as they're there. And Anthony will also let me know if I missed something in the chat. So feel free, if you don't want to put your hand up, to put your question in the chat as we go along in the session. Okay, so let me start by sharing my screen. And we'll just make sure we're all in the right place. We are here to learn about natural remedies. I was excited when I created this class. It was more because I was getting asked questions about certain common ailments that maybe many of us can suffer at times, and just wanting to know what can we do from a natural perspective to take care of some of these things. So this is not to replace what maybe your doctor has given you as treatment. Definitely number one is to talk to your doctor and also let them know that you might be trying some of these natural remedies. For the most part, they're pretty harmless, but depending on the medications that you might be on, there could be some kind of interaction. And so it's really important just to let your doctor know kind of what it is you're doing. So for those that have not met me, my name is Ravina. I'm one of the guides here at Get Set Up. I believe we're up to over 30 guides now. And for the most part, we either are teaching something that we love and has been part of our career and something that we know really well, or it's something that's just a passion of ours that maybe we did as a hobby. And for me, it's actually what I did for work. I've always been in health and wellness, and worked as a nurse for many years. And then I studied functional nutrition, which is a real love of mine, the functional nutrition. And I know for some of you out there, functional nutrition has become your love as well, because you realize how important, if we can take care of our nutrition, how important that is for our overall health. And many doctors out there believe that nutrition is the center of healthcare. If we could make it the center of healthcare, a lot of us would be a lot healthier. So that's just a tiny bit about me. And as I said, we do learn from each other. So feel free to, if you've got a pertinent statement or piece of information to share with the group, please go ahead and put your hand up so we can get your information out there, because we really do learn from each other. I myself definitely learn from all of you. So that's wonderful. And then we are recording. I believe I'll just make sure, Anthony, the record button's on. I'm sharing the screen so I can't quite see anymore. And we are live streaming this morning. So maybe a lot of you are getting familiar with the whole live streaming thing that we do. It's for our TV channel. And then it allows any one of you to get a look into a room, hear what's going on, see what's going on, and decide on whether maybe it's a class you'd like to take at a future date. So we'll say hi to all those people out there live streaming us this morning, and hope that they can register. You can register for a class in future if you do like what you see and hear. We also don't get paid for any promotions for any services or goods that I might talk about in class today. So let's get to it. We are going to understand the healing power of plants, herbs, spices, and food. So we're going to look at like all of those in a sense, and we're going to do a little bit of a history lesson just on natural medicine and what does that mean, where did it come from. And then we are going to look at a bunch of natural remedies, so around 7, maybe a few more, related to 6 common ailments that can happen to us as we age. So for us older adults, what is common for us, somewhat common or can be common in terms of ailments or symptoms that we suffer as, you know, as the years go by, and what can we do about it. So I cover like sort of natural approaches and then some specific remedies. All right, so before we get started, does anybody have any questions? Are you all feeling good, ready to learn a few things or have some good review of things that you know already? Yeah, we're all good? Okay. So how many of you, and you can just like, I just write it in the chat, you can tell us where you're from and then just tell us if you have used something. How many of you have used a spice or a plant or herb or food to heal something in your body or to help with a symptom you were having? Anything that maybe you're doing now, or anything that you have used in the past? So Vanita is having troubles with sound on her side. Vanita, I don't know if I can see you there anywhere. Maybe Anthony, you can help Vanita. I don't see her on my, oh, I have 2 screens. Okay, there's lots of you. All right, so there's Vanita. So she's having troubles with getting sound. So if you can help her with that, Anthony, that would be great. Yeah, okay, so you have used some herbal things, no symptoms. Preventative. Okay, good thought, Bill. Yeah, sometimes we do things for prevention. I like that. Yes, ginger for an upset stomach. That's great. Yeah, I really enjoy ginger now. I don't know. I think it's in my healing foods class where I talk about, yeah, when I was a child, I didn't really like ginger when my mom would put it in a stir fry or something. And if I bit into it as a child, it was very strong. It was a very strong taste. And I didn't really love it. So for a while there, I wasn't I wasn't a fan of ginger. But now that I'm older and I realize how potent and how amazing and healing ginger can be, boy, I use it now. Yellow mustard for pain. Okay, I have heard about the mustard from somebody before. I myself have not used it. Interesting. Okay, well that's, yeah, and cloves for toothache. Yes, Madhu, that's something my grandmother I learned from my grandmother. So she'd always just, you know, take a little clove and stick it there if you can't get to the dentist and your tooth is, there's some pain happening there. That was definitely something that in my family they used. All right, well, let's just get into them. So with natural remedies, they've been around for thousands of years, like literally thousands of years. And in ancient history, we have medicinal plants that have been used in places like India, China, Greece, Egypt, just to name a few. I mean, there's obviously other countries that have also used medicinal plants. Our indigenous people here in Canada and in North America, around the world, in Australia, they really do rely on plants for their healing. That's their go-to, is to look at plants versus, you know, like medicine in a bottle. And in today's society, they still go to plants first when it comes to healing whatever is the issue. So there's people that specialize in that. So since the beginning, us humans, we've been experimenting with plants to learn how they can help us. So think of it as thousands of years in a vast clinical trial. I mean, it sounds kind of neat, but and I always mention this because it always reminds me of that TV series called Outlander. If anybody has watched it, it's really interesting. It's about passage in time and going back in time. And this particular lady ends up, it's in the 60s, in the current time is in the 60s, and she becomes a doctor. And when she gets sent back in time, she obviously it's the time of, it's a TV show, but in the times of, years and hundreds of years ahead before, she would then go and look for the plants, and, things like penicillin hadn't been discovered yet. So she, it's sort of neat to see that in a TV show, because that's what we did thousands of years ago. They might not have known what a plant did, but then they would sort of, investigate and try it out and see if it helps, kind of like trial and error, which is what a trial really is. So it is possible that as humans, we looked at the curative powers from plants from observing what our animals were doing. So this is actually called Pharmacognosy. It's a pretty big mouthful. I've gotten better at saying it now that I say it every week, but it really is the behavior of an animal that actually apparently self-medicates itself. Because what they do is they're selecting certain plants to ingest at certain times, from certain plants, to prevent or reduce harmful effects of, say, pathogens or toxins. Now, I put this picture up here because I thought this guy looked kind of cute, and I don't know exactly what plant he's eating. But in the next screen here, you can see, here's an example what our pets do, our animals, our cats, our dogs. When I had my cat Jessie, when he wasn't feeling good, he went in the backyard. The first thing he did was try and find some grass to chew on, because then that would help him to throw up. Does anybody have a pet that does that? Yeah, Laura does. Yes. So it's common. So our cats and dogs instinctively have that in them. So for another example is the chimpanzee. The chimpanzee will seek out the Aspilia plant, specifically when they feel like they might have an upset stomach or they have parasites in their body, to help get rid of parasites. So you can see that this natural medicine, using medicine for healing, has been around with animals and with humans for many, many, many years. So in today's society, let's look at today's society. We do have doctors that actually focus on natural medicine. First of all, has anybody here maybe seen one of those doctors? I myself have gone. And what types of doctors would you think is part of this? Again, you can just type in some names of doctors maybe that you've seen in the past or presently, for specifically looking at more natural ways of dealing with something that's going on with you. Does anybody have any examples of the types of doctors? Because there's a few different types. It's not just one avenue. Anybody have any ideas?
Naturopaths?
Yes. Yep. Naturopath. Absolutely. I have seen naturopaths in the past myself.
Homeopaths?
Yeah. And the homeopathic medicine also kind of looks at things from a natural perspective. Absolutely. Any other ideas? There's quite a few actually, but I only wrote down a few just to kind of get a sense of it. So we have our naturopathic doctors. What about TCM? Has anybody used traditional Chinese medicine? That's what that stands for, TCM. And Paul is saying a chiropractor. Yes, it's amazing. There are some our therapists out there that have mixed and matched, like chiropractic medicine, where chiropractor is quite is an art itself. But I know some chiropractors that will combine it with sort of natural remedies. Chinese medicine, for instance, they'll combine the two together. So the TCM is very popular, the traditional Chinese medicine. Ayurvedic doctors, have anybody heard of that? Ayurvedics comes from India, and they have their own system of looking at the body kind of as a whole. Then there's herbal medicine doctors, there's herbalists. And then the last one I found really interesting, Aboriginal medicine or bush medicine. And that one specifically, these specialists look at the interplay between our physical body, our emotional, social, and our spiritual aspect of our body to look at how to attain well-being. I love that because they're looking at different planes of our bodies, not just the physical and what's going on. So as you can see, there's many different types of doctors out there that are using natural medicine. The one I didn't have on there that is become very popular, and I know Laura, I've spoken with Laura in the past, is around functional nutrition or a functional doctor. So if you ever see that in your directory, a doctor that's a functional doctor, likely they have studied Western medicine. So they've gone through and gotten their MD, so their family doctor, but they have also gone a step further to learn about functional nutrition, like Dr. Mark Hyman, Dr. Axe, and they use the food as the central part of their medicine. Bill, did you have a question?
Yeah, I do. Is homeopathy considered under this umbrella, or would that not be?
I think I put it under this umbrella because a homeopathic doctor still is looking, some of the preparations that they use. Now, if anybody's not familiar with homeopathy, it's kind of not a strange thing, but they use the most minute amount of something to ingest somehow, either a little tablet under the tongue to help you. Like, say, for example, with an allergy, they will take the most minute part of whatever it is you're allergic to in their little pill and give that to you. So in some ways, Bill, yes, it could be using natural items because they're taking the actual thing you might be allergic to, like that plant, and giving you the most minuscule amount of it to help you get over your allergy, for example. Madhu, you might have some experience.
Yeah, and it's very holistic too. So if you have a headache and another person has a headache, it's not the same medicine. It depends on how you feel. And I have experienced quite a few homeopathic doctors, especially back home in India. And they will ask about your well-being first. How do you feel? Do you feel good in warmth or cold and things like that? So it's very holistic as such.
Yes, and
My experience.
Yeah, and the experience that I've had, Bill, is exactly for that. It was for an allergy, and that's what they did. They took the natural, whatever plant it was that I was allergic to, and and it's down, and it's that minuscule like thing that they give you. I guess kind of like in a sense, like how a vaccine works, right? They give you a teeny tiny amount. But
Now,
you're
see,
right.
I don't know if you're allowed to give your thoughts on it, but at first I thought, wow, how could this work? So I started doing some research on it, and apparently there's no scientific evidence that it works. However, you just mentioned that odd thing about, isn't that how vaccines work on a grand scale, really? That you have a very minute, I guess, killed quantity of something, and it almost seems like it's the same thing. But I was just curious. I mean, I've kind of discounted it myself after reading about it. So I don't know what your thoughts are. I mean, to me, it seems like that's why it just seemed different than what you were talking about. I mean, I mean, that's where penicillin comes from. It's an actual substance. It's proven to actually work. And, it's a mold and blah, blah, blah. And doctors, if you have high blood pressure, they tell you don't eat so much sodium. So they're actually, without maybe saying it, they're actually dealing with natural remedies, in this case, like subtractive, telling you not to have so much sodium in your diet. But homeopathy, it just seemed like one of those things that was kind of outside this. And so I was just getting curious on what you thought of it being.
Yeah, I myself have personally used homeopathy. I'm not like somebody who uses it a lot. I do have experience from doing my functional nutrition program, and we were taught quite a bit about homeopathy at that time. And all I remember is they usually come in these tiny little capsules, and they're teeny little pills. And for me specifically, it's not something I go to. It's not my go-to, but I would consider it under the natural remedies umbrella, because of the looking at the person as a whole being, not just, okay, we need to get your blood pressure down, so we're going to tell you to do this one thing. You're looking at the person as a whole being, their mind, body, spirit. And so that's why I put it under. But what I say to anybody, any of the people that I teach, is that if you don't believe in something, maybe you've done your research or you haven't done your research, or you just think it's a bunch of hooky, like it's not real. I say, don't go do acupuncture, for example, if you don't believe in it, because it's not, if your mindset is it's not going to work, it's not going to work. So I know a lot of people that if they have a certain ailment that's been bothering them for a long time and they haven't gotten the results from, say, their Western medicine doctor, they are going to try other things because they might be a little bit desperate. And so do what is in your belief system. If I have had a really good experience with something, I usually share it with you. So for example, I just mentioned acupuncture. I've had phenomenal experience with acupuncture actually helping me when I was having problems sleeping. But with homeopathy, I've had some experience, but I can't say it was like outstanding. But again, I don't want to put down homeopathy because some people really, truly, really believe in it. So today, there are thousands of healing plants out there. So today I'm going to discuss around 7 today, because we're going to look at the 7 common ailments that I have chosen that you as learners have told me about, that you're wanting to have some experience with. Okay, so the first one is high blood pressure. Now, this high blood pressure is also referred to as glucose levels. So I was just reading Deanna's. Newton Homeopathics makes a remedy for hot flashes called menopause that stops hot flashes in seconds. Yeah. So Bill, there are people that use it and have had some great experience. I feel if anybody wants to try using homeopathy, I think it's a valid choice to try. If it works for you, great. If it doesn't, then you move on. All right, so with the glucose levels, this is what happens when we have either adult onset diabetes, this is what I'm referring to, or you're pre-diabetic. 1 in 3 of us don't even know we're pre-diabetic, which is kind of scary. We're having excess sugar sitting in our blood. Our insulin is not able to control the amount of sugar. We've become insulin resistant, which means that our body is so used to getting sugar pumped into our blood that our insulin is not able to remove it fast enough or regularly. So even if you are somebody who is worried because you've been eating a couple extra sweet snacks, this having high blood sugar is a problem, because what happens? It causes all sorts of damage in our body eventually if you have high blood sugar over and over and over again. And you can manifest and you can end up developing type 2 diabetes. Now, I'm not really referring here around type 1 diabetes, which is a whole nother animal, but we're talking about the type 2 diabetes here. So what's the best way to support yourself if you'd like to try this naturally? Cinnamon. Cinnamon is a fragrant spice. It actually comes from the Ceylon tree. It's the bark from the Ceylon tree. So you get a really good, pure organic cinnamon. That's amazing. Make sure you read your labels. All spices are not made equally. So you want to get the cinnamon that is the most natural and organic. It's very versatile. You can use it. Most people use it in sweets, which is kind of funny, right? They use it when they make sweets like cinnamon buns or something like that. And cinnamon itself is actually not sweet, but we sort of relate the flavor of cinnamon with something sweet. So it actually doesn't add sweetness, or it sort of feels like it does without adding sugar. So, but there is actual studies and research out there that say that cinnamon can lower your fasting blood sugar. And that's really important. If you're diabetic, you know what I mean. It also helps to improve your insulin sensitivity. And for those of you that this whole like insulin thing gets kind of muddled and it's hard to understand, just think of it this way. You want your insulin as sensitive as possible. You want the sensitivity there. You want your body to be very sensitive to insulin so that your pancreas only has to give out a little bit of insulin, and that's enough to pull that sugar out of your blood. It's kind of like when you overdo something over and over, your body just doesn't respond anymore. That's what insulin resistance means. So they found that cinnamon actually helps to improve your insulin sensitivity. That's great. It also improves lipids, fats in your blood. So helps to reduce some of the lipids in your blood. So cinnamon's actually very powerful. How much do you take? Well, I would say, just introduce cinnamon into your life. There's many things that you can do. And I'm glad Laura's here, because I remember Laura was the one that told me, sorry, I'm picking on Laura today. In sort of Greek foods, there are foods where they use cinnamon in their stews or in their some of their recipes, not necessarily just in the sweet recipes. So I started doing it too. I put a little bit of cinnamon when I'm roasting vegetables, for example, in the oven. We sprinkle a little bit of cinnamon on it now. Now, I don't specifically know that my blood sugar is high. The last time I checked, I was in the norms for fasting blood sugar, but stress and diabetes runs in my family, so I'm more conscientious of this. So sprinkling a little bit in your oatmeal, like in the picture. Some people ask me, well, how much can I have? Well, I think you can have, like, cinnamon is it's a food, like it's a spice. So you don't want to go hog wild with anything, right? If you're going to take a huge amount of something, then you definitely need to have healthcare monitor what you're doing. For example, people that do the IV drips with like tons of vitamin C, there's lots of functional medicine ideas out there, but that's something that you would need to be monitored by your doctor or your healthcare professional, naturopath, whoever is monitoring what you're doing, because you're doing it in what they call it mega doses. So if you're going to do a mega dose of cinnamon, like you're going to take it in capsules, then I would make sure you for sure talk to your doctor. If you're going to sprinkle it in your coffee, like Sue does, or in your oatmeal, I don't think you need to tell your doctor you're having cinnamon on your oatmeal. But again, that's up to you and how much you share with your doctor in terms of your health and what's going on. So let's move to the second ailment. This one is fairly common. I know it happens with women, usually like perimenopause or in menopause. I'm talking about the kind of thinning hair that happens where we could relate it maybe to stress that we're under. I'm not talking about the moderate to like full-on hair loss that we might see with, say, male pattern baldness that happens, more of a hereditary thing, as some of our male counterparts for us women get older, like both of my brothers. And I know it comes down the mother's maternal side. So my grandfather on my mom's side, he had sort of thinner hair, and that will get passed down, skip a generation and go to the males in our family. So that's my two brothers. And I mean, they're not too bad, but they definitely do have some male, not balding, but thinning of their hair. But what I'm referring to is more the mild to moderate hair thinning that you might notice from month to month in your own self. Why is that? It can be two things: genetics and our lifestyle. Okay, so let's look at the lifestyle habits. We are maybe over treating our hair, or we're using harsh products. You can switch over to more natural products. Go to your health food store. Even our grocery stores now have like healthier products. Look at the labels. Are you putting chemicals on your head? Remember, our skin is the largest organ in our body. So if whatever you're putting on your scalp, if there's a lot of chemicals in there, it's going right into your skin. Some people end up wearing their hair back too tight. That pulling on the hair can also not be good for our hair. Low in iron or low in other minerals can also cause our hair to thin. And the number one thing I think is, well, two things, is chronic stress and maybe an underlying medical condition. For example, a thyroid issue. That's something that's very common with women. If you've got your thyroid out of balance, you'll notice it with your hair. Now, when it comes to stress, I want you to think of this. Whatever the stressful situation is, it's usually around 4 months later that you will notice it with your hair. So if you are noticing today that, oh, my hair seems to be falling out more than it should, and my hair is thinner, think back about 4 months ago. What was there a trigger? Was there some big like chronic stress thing that was going on for a while that finally came to a head back then? So let's look at the actual remedy. If you are having thinning hair, and for me, the thicker my hair, the better I feel. Like, I don't like when my hair is thinning, and I'm always checking for the back here for my little sort of bald spot that I used to tend to have. But right now my hair is actually, I have fine hair, but my hair, I've got quite a bit of it right now. So I'm feeling good. Now, I have been upping my vitamins and minerals naturally from eating fruits and vegetables, which I talk about a lot in a lot of my other classes, eating our fruits and vegetables, eating the rainbow. So check your iron and your zinc levels. Those are the two main ones, iron and zinc. And the other one is your vitamin B7, which is also called biotin. So where do you find biotin? In your nuts, in lentils, and in liver. Yeah, so Twee's mentioning about that. Yeah, it's about 4 months. And it's funny, and I've mentioned this to you guys before, but my hairstylist told me that she can always tell when a lady's pregnant, and once they've had their baby, she knows about 4 months later, the hair is going to be much different. And because of the stress of having a new baby, and 4 months later, it shows up in the hair. And my hairstylist specifically told me that. The other thing we can look at is our omega-3 fatty acids. You really need your omega-3 fatty acids. They are essential, and we cannot manufacture them in our bodies. So that means what? That you've got to get it in through your food. Or a supplement if you aren't like a fan of fatty fish, like sardines, salmon, herring, what else? Salmon's my main one. And then in our seeds. So if you're a vegan or you don't like fish, your flax seeds, your chia seeds, your hemp seeds, all of those seeds have the omega-3s. You can find it in other foods like nuts, and things like Brussels sprouts has omega-3s. So this would be the natural remedy I would do. And again, be patient and be kind with yourself. When you're stressed, it's going to make your hair fall out more. Stress can do that. Just being stressed. So if you can be more kind to yourself, start building up these vitamins and minerals in your body. Likely it's your iron and your zinc that's low. So this would be what I would do. Change your diet up, and within probably 2, 3, 4 months, you're going to start to notice a difference. All right, let's move on to the third one, anxiety. Now, anxiety is something that can happen depending on your life circumstances. Let's face it, the world today is a pretty fast-paced world with technology, with stuff going on. The elephant in the room, what we've all been dealing with since last March of 2020, just trying to make sense of everything and feel safe again on this earth. So anxiety can be part of normal life, but for those of you that suffer anxiety and you don't get it treated, I really ask that and recommend that you do seek some healthcare professional, some professional help to help you with anxiety. I myself have had anxiety from time to time, not lasting a huge long time, not turning into panic attacks. If any of you do suffer from anxiety, you know what I mean when I say you feel like a panic attack's coming up. So you're scared now to leave the house. You're scared to be in front of people. You might be scared to be in a grocery store when it's a crowded time. You have to go when it's quieter because you are worried about a panic attack. Anxiety really affects our quality of life. It changes what we would do on a day-to-day basis. What can we do about anxiety? And also remember, as older adults, some of us live alone. We're on our own. I used to worry before I was married, when I lived in my friend's suite in their home. I used to worry that my worries used to happen, my anxieties used to happen in the winter, more in the winter. But I thought, what if I fell, for instance, or if I cut myself really badly and I couldn't call for help, who would know? Because I lived by myself. I used to worry about that, and that became like an anxiety thing I would get in the winter. The other thing I used to worry about, if anybody can relate, is my car breaking down in the winter. I think, well, who am I gonna call? Who's gonna help me? Like I'm on my own. So when I lived alone, I used to have a lot of that. Anxiety attacks, disorder, panic attacks. Yes, yes, I agree with you, Diana. Absolutely. Having just an chronic anxiety can be different than a panic attack disorder, but they sometimes go hand in hand, where you have anxiety and you have anxiety that you think you're going to have a panic attack. So I do know of some people that do have anxiety with panic attacks, and you can have anxiety without panic attacks, just from a medical standpoint. If you look in the DSM for like the diagnoses and stuff, you can have it with or without panic attacks. All right, let's look and see what things can we do if we're feeling anxious. So naturally, one of the best things we can do is stay active. Have a routine, get your body moving, keep your body as healthy as possible. Another one is to drink no or minimize the amount of alcohol you're taking in, because alcohol in itself can cause a little bit of anxiety. Ditching caffeine for the time being. If you love your caffeine, I would say if you're feeling you've been anxious over some days, to just try to reduce the amount of caffeine you're having just to help with that. Practicing deep breathing is a great way to help bring down our anxiety. There's a type of breathing, the box breathing or 5-5-5, where you breathe in for 5 breaths, then you hold for 5 breaths, then you let out your breath for 5 beats, and you can even hold it at the bottom again for another 5 beats, and then breathe back in. So it's called box breathing. Doing that in itself kind of tricks your body. And how it tricks your body is it just slows down your breathing. Your brain thinks, oh, you're safe now. So the anxiety level might go down. So it's like going from the sympathetic nervous system, which is the sort of real active one, to your parasympathetic nervous system, from doing just this breathing technique maybe 2 or 3 or 4 times. So breathing in for 5 counts, holding for 5 counts, breathing out for 5 counts, holding for 5 counts. It just slows down your breathing, and you shift from sympathetic into parasympathetic. And that you really want to have, the best time you really want that is before you eat your meal. Why is that? Because if you eat your meal when you're stressed, guess what happens? You don't digest very well, because all your no focus is on digesting your food. Like you literally cannot digest your food if you're in sympathetic. But once you shift into parasympathetic, now your body can digest its food. So if you feel stressed, like don't be watching the news when you're eating. It's not a good idea. Or opening your bills at the same time as or having a difficult conversation with your partner while you're trying to eat. You know how that is. You're just, the food just sits in your stomach. Okay, let's move on with the anxiety. So improving your quality of sleep, doing some form of meditation can help bring down the anxiety levels. Improving on your diet, again, eating the colorful rainbow type of food. This is one where you can try aromatherapy. I always have my essential oils around my computer and near me. This one is plumeria, which is also called frangipani. This is a beautiful flower, essential oil of a flower from Hawaii. It's one of my mother's favorite. And so when I'm feeling a bit anxious or stressed, I smell this, and that aromatherapy just helps to bring my my anxiety down. The other two the last two I find really interesting. Spending time with animals, just petting a cat or a dog or being around an animal can help to reduce your anxiety. And also the latest and newest thing are these weighted blankets. I myself don't have one, but they apparently help to reduce anxiety if somebody's feeling anxious like a child or somebody else. But let's look at specifically what the remedy is for anxiety. Lavender is your clear winner here. So even looking at the beautiful lavender fields, the beautiful purple color is a calming color, calms you down. The actual lavender plant itself has properties in it to help reduce anxiety. So you can take real fresh lavender and put it in a little pocket, put it in your pillowcase. You can use it as aromatherapy. You can actually take bits of the lavender and put it in your, say, your rooibos tea, which is a non-caffeinated tea, and add a little bit of lavender right into your tea and drink that. It's very, very nice. Another tea, another herb is passion flower, and it's usually mixed with a few things and comes in tea bags. The other one that maybe more of you are familiar with is chamomile. And chamomile is sort of what we call the sleepy tea. You have a little bit of chamomile tea before you go to bed. It's a very calming, soothing effect and would help with anxiety. So these three things are your go-to, I think, if you're feeling anxious. Okay. All right, let's keep moving along so we get through all of them. So the fourth one is edema. Is everybody familiar with edema? Anybody? So edema is swelling, and typically swelling will show up in our extremities, in our fingers. Our fingers will swell up. Our ankles, that's a really common place for a water to pool. Sorry, I'm just reading Bill's message here. I've heard that pets, especially cats, can't process, I think, what are called phenols when diffusing essential oils, so don't use them. Yes. So if you do have pets, now I love animals and I love cats. Definitely, we all know the cats and dogs, like, dogs shouldn't be eating chocolate, or they can't have the sugar, or I think it's something in chocolate. We have to be careful with whatever plants or herbs we bring into our house, and make sure that they're pet friendly. So I haven't heard that specific thing that Bill is sharing with us, but definitely be careful with your essential oils. So this little oil of mine, I don't have a pet, but it stays right here on my computer stand, and I smell it, and also with birds as well. So essential oils, remember, essential oils are just the pure oil. So we have food grade oils like lemon. I put lemon oil in 2 drops in my hot water in the morning. I'm drinking it actually right now. Instead of actual lemon, that can affect your enamel on your teeth. So if you do a lot of squeezed lemon in your water in the morning as a mild detoxifying effect, the lemon, the actual real lemon from a lemon can start to affect your enamel on your teeth. So I put the essential oil food grade into my water. That's how I do it. But good points. Thank you very much. So looking at swelling in our feet in our ankles, this one's common. It could be from weight gain. It could be that it's hot summertime now. Has anybody had that? What about when you're traveling on the plane? Do you notice when your ankles swell up a bit from sitting on the plane and your legs hanging down for too long? Sedentary life, our diet, shoes that don't fit very well, or you're standing so long. Maybe you work in a grocery store and you're standing on your feet so long. Those are all reasons that you might get edema. Here's the thing about edema. Your edema will likely just resolve on its own. But if it's uncomfortable for you and you can't see your ankle bone and you're getting kind of worried, I would guess that the number one reason that you're having edema is that you are dehydrated. So from a functional nutrition point of view, when you are dehydrated, your body is screaming out to you like, oh my gosh, when are you going to give me some water? Now I have to hoard all the water in your body. So that's what your body does. It hoards the water. It holds on to it. Instead of you naturally getting rid of the water that you're drinking, it's hoarding it because you are dehydrated. So the best thing you can do is start sipping water. Remember, when you are really, really dehydrated, your body, when you drink water, your body is it's sort of like when the sponge is so dry and you pour water on it and just falls off the sponge. Do you get what I mean? Like you're so dehydrated, it's like crusty. There's no moisture in it. You pour a jug of water over it, and it just sort of slides off. That's what happens in your body. So what do you have to do? Think of that hard, crusty sponge. You have to drip water on it. So you sip water all day and help to sort of start moistening that the sponge that's so dry, to help moisturize yourself, hydrate yourself. So that's a key tip to know, that if you are very dehydrated, sip your water slowly, because it'll just get peed out if you just drink it way too fast. You can use compression socks for edema. You can also use a cool bath, soak your feet with Epsom salts. And there's a reason why, and I'll tell you on the next screen, why Epsom salts are really great for swelling in your feet. And also, if you can elevate your feet above your heart, like put your ottoman or put your feet up and then put a few pillows to bring your feet a little bit higher than your heart while you're sitting back, that will also help with the inflammation. With the swelling. But here's the thing. Maybe you're low in magnesium. Magnesium deficiency can cause edema, swelling. So if you are retaining water, having magnesium-rich foods can help with your swelling. Epsom salts, does anybody know? Epsom salts has magnesium in it. It's a great source of magnesium. I already talked about skin being your biggest organ in your body. So if you go into an Epsom salt bath with your feet even, you are going to get magnesium into your body. So you're going to get those magnesium-rich foods, like magnesium from foods as well, like your almonds, tofu, spinach, broccoli, and avocados are high in magnesium. You may want to take a magnesium supplement. Again, talk to your doctor about that and make sure you get make sure it doesn't contradict with any of your medications. But you may be low in magnesium if you're finding that your feet are swelling often. And that seems to be a problem for many of us as we age, that we get this, we're fine 1 minute, we go for a tiny little walk, and now we've got swelling in our ankles. That's not supposed to happen. So we want to get that addressed. All right, high blood pressure is the next one. High blood pressure is just plain dangerous for our heart. If you've got elevated high blood pressure for too long, you will damage your heart and it will be permanent damage. So one other thing about high blood pressure, yes, you can be doing all the right things in your health, in your lifestyle, in taking care of yourself, but you still, darn it, have high blood pressure. It can be hereditary. It might be passed down in your genes that you are prone to having high blood pressure. Unfortunately, you just have to accept that it might be a genetic thing and not because you're eating too much salt, for example. So hopefully you have gone to see your doctor. This is so important. You don't want to damage your heart and have irreversible damage done to your heart. So high blood pressure, what can you do? Well, you can get out and move your body as regularly as you can, specifically reducing salt intake, remembering that salt is important. We can't survive without salt in our bodies, but having reduced salt just to try to get your blood pressure back in the norms, I would imagine and hope that you have seen your doctor, probably to get on a medication to just get you back in the norm. And then you can work on all these extra natural remedies. Managing your stress is huge. Cutting back on caffeine can really make a difference. And drinking less alcohol can really make a difference, because both caffeine and alcohol inevitably will increase your blood pressure. Okay, those things have been correlated to increase your blood pressure. So what's one of the problems that you might be having if you have high blood pressure? Well, you could be low in potassium foods. So our green leafy vegetables, bananas, we all hear about bananas with having potassium, apricots, nuts, seeds, and beans, all of those are rich in potassium. Start eating those potassium foods if you are prone to having high blood pressure to help naturally reduce your blood pressure. Maybe you could take less medication. Maybe your doctor can reduce some of the medication you're taking because you're eating potassium-rich foods. Another one, which is I found really exciting, is that in dark chocolate, there's flavonoids. There's rich in flavonoids. These flavonoids have been known to relax our blood vessels. So we have relaxed blood vessels and they're not so taut, it lowers our blood pressure naturally. So, and when I say dark chocolate, I'm talking about the 70% or higher dark chocolate, not just like the, brands of chocolate you get in the candy bars in the store. I mean like the nice pure chocolate that's like at least 70% or higher. All right, the sixth ailment is psoriasis. Psoriasis is like a skin redness, skin patchiness that happens. People get it on their legs, sometimes on their arms. It's not very nice looking. It's very stressful having it. guess what triggers psoriasis? Stress. So stress is the thing that triggers it. So what are the things naturally we can do to try to reduce our psoriasis, our skin irritation? Is meditation, yoga, deep breathing that we talked about. Another one is if you, for example, live in Arizona or Palm Springs or another dry area, having a humidifier on in your home can help to moisten your skin and help with reduce the symptoms of psoriasis. So I'm not talking about air purifiers. That's another whole thing. I'm talking about a humidifier, like those little things you used to put in your child's bedroom, possibly to kind of put moisture in the air. You can even go as archaic as taking a bowl and putting water in it and having it sit. Now, if you have a cat, the cat might drink from it, but that adds moisture into your air. Bill's asking about the chocolate. When I talk about pure, like chocolate from a therapeutic point of view, not just because you're craving sugar, look for chocolate bars that say 70% cacao, 70% cocoa. Usually it's cacao because that's the natural form of chocolate. So look for you'll see chocolate bars that say 70%, 75%, 73, 80, 85. Anything over 80 is going to taste very bitter. I usually go for about 73%, and I like the flavor of that sort of little bit of bitterness of the chocolate. All right. So getting back to psoriasis, it seems to be it's about controlling stress. But what's the natural thing that we can use? Aloe vera. Nobody mentioned aloe vera this time around in class, but aloe vera is the beautiful gel. You just snip a piece off your plant and you can rub it right on your psoriasis or on your burn or your scratch. It can help with the redness, the scaliness, the inflammation, and the itchiness. So aloe vera you can get as a plant, or you can buy it in a bottle of like gel. I've seen it as an after sun remedy, for after you've burned yourself or you've been in the sun. But check your bottle. Is aloe vera the #1 ingredient, or is it the 10th ingredient? They trick us. Marketing tricks us. So make sure you read your bottles and make sure there's a good amount of aloe vera in it. It should just be plain aloe vera with maybe one stabilizer, but look for that. So Bill's to talk about the chocolate. 70% chocolate now for me doesn't taste bitter, but it can. So Twee is talking about flax milk. Yes, flax milk, because on the next thing I'm talking about for psoriasis is omega-3 fatty acids. The omega-3 fatty acids, which we talked about, we can't produce in our body ourselves. We got to get it from our food. The natural vegan way is through flax seeds. So having a flaxseed milk and putting that, a poultice or something, on the psoriasis is fantastic because you're getting omega-3s absorbing into your body. Really, really, really great for your skin. I think I talk about omega-3 fatty acids in just about every one of my health classes, whether it's for the brain, for eye health, for anything, because omega-3s are so important, and most of us are low in our omega-3s. The last ailment is around our vision and decreased vision. Unfortunately, as we age, it tends to feel like, our vision, we start to suffer with our vision. Definitely go for your regular eye checkups. Maintaining fitness, like maintaining your managing your weight, will help your eyes, if you can believe it. When we get overweight, we have a tendency to develop diabetes, and with diabetes comes diabetic retinopathy, which is one of the 4 eye diseases that's common in older adults, and it affects the tiny vessels behind your retina. You want to not end up with diabetes and therefore possibly diabetic retinopathy. So again, moving your body, keeping yourself in good shape, eating the rainbow is really, really, really important. Make sure you use protective eyewear. Nowadays, and you'll learn this if you take my eye class, as you age, our eyes are more sensitive because our lens can't change as quick as it used to when we were in our 20s. So when we go outside and it's not even a sunny day, it's kind of glary, wear your sunglasses so your eyes have some time to adjust, because our eyes are slower to adjust. So what can we do for our eyes? Key vitamins and minerals are vitamin A, our vitamin C, our vitamin E. A lot of us are familiar with that in those red foods. The peppers, the strawberries, the carrots give us the colorful stuff to get our citrus, which is the vitamin C. Also the carotenoids, the lutein and zeaxanthin. Zeaxanthin, it's hard to say it, but it's called zeaxanthin and lutein. are found in green vegetables, broccoli, zucchini, and in eggs. All of those things are great for your eye health. And remember, a little tip, if you haven't taken my eye class yet, we can reverse our bad eyes by changing our diet. We can improve our eyes. There is an amount that our eyes can improve, even if we got to a point where we're having trouble seeing, we can improve with our eyesight. That's great to know that there can be a little bit of a reverse there. So those are the 7 ailments that I wanted to talk to you about and give you a little bit of a snapshot on what you can do from a natural remedies perspective. We've looked at understanding just how healing our plants and our spices and our herbs and our food can be for our general health. We did a little bit of a history thing on the medicinal plants and how we've kind of like looked and observed animals. And also we've looked at these 7, I gave a few more remedies for each ailment, but definitely if you are at all wanting to know more about eye health, come to my Optimal Eye Health class this week. I think I'm teaching it tomorrow at 11:30 Pacific time. What else? There's so many new classes coming out on the schedule because each one of us guys we're creating more and more classes. So tomorrow I'm doing brain health, I'm doing heart health, I'm doing eye health, and I'm doing detoxing your home. Johnny's asking about eczema or eczema. Yes, Johnny. I didn't mention it this time, I should have, but psoriasis and eczema are 2 different types of skin issues, but both the aloe vera and the omega-3s will help with it. So thank you so much, everybody, for being here. If you do have to run off because you've got another class coming up, not a problem. Please fill out feedback. I will send an email out to you shortly, and then you have a chance to do some feedback. And you can also, now we can invite friends to classes, which is awesome. And if you do want a copy of today's recording, please send your email to help@getsetup.io, and you can ask for a recording. And you may even want to talk to them about running an interest group. We do have a lot of learners now doing interest groups on the site, and so that's pretty exciting too. So I have a couple minutes. If anybody has a question or a comment that they want to make, feel free to ask me right now. I appreciate you all being here. I do appreciate hearing from everybody, especially if you have a comment, if you're not sure about something. Bill, did you want to say something?
I just wanted to say thank you for presenting like a balanced talk. It just seems like if you go to one camp, they dismiss everything. So it's kind of nice to have people that are open. That's all.
Yeah, I absolutely am. I mean, I have a nursing degree, and then I studied more functional stuff. But like, to answer your question about homeopathy, I'm not a full 100%, 110% believer of homeopathy. I've seen it work for other people. When I tried it for, like, I couldn't tell whether it helped me or not. So I'm, the jury is out for me when it comes to homeopathy for the specific ailments that I was suffering from, that I wanted it to work for. I think it's so subtle that it's over time. It's like going to a naturopath. You don't get results the day you go to the naturopath. It takes time. They put you on this like 4-month new way of eating. And sometimes what happens, you run out of money because of the supplements and stuff they put you on, usually, or you get bored. It's like 4 months later, it's like, I'm not going to follow this ridiculous restrictive diet. So you just go back to what you were doing. And so sometimes we don't give some of these natural ways a chance to work because we want it to work today. Like, you take the medication, your blood pressure is back on track. That's one thing I do say, take the medication to get your blood pressure, because you don't want to damage your heart. But yes, I'm very open to hearing what everybody has to say. Laura's got a comment here, for those who want to dig deeper. Okay, that's thank you for putting that book.
I don't know if you know that book. For those of you on the call, I'm a student of functional nutrition, and Ravina's been amazing to help me through and guide me a little bit. But this is an extra book that I picked up along with my studies, and it's a lot of what you're talking about and easy to read, but I really value your classes, so I want to say thank you. And yeah,
okay, excellent. Thank you so much. Oh,
Yeah.
I'm so glad, because I know you're studying with somebody who I really trust in
Yeah.
functional nutrition.
It's an
Um,
amazing program. So
It is. I can't wait to take it myself. I would like to take it at a later date. But for those of you that are
Yeah.
on the out there in streaming, sorry, I lost my words, live streaming in, the book that Laura's talking about is 7 Syndrome Healing. 7, the number 7 Syndrome Healing by Marcia Zimmerman and Jason Koner. So if you want to look that up, if you're live streaming, because you can't see our chat. But anyways, thank you so much, everybody. Oh, Valentine, it's good to see you here too. And Vanita, you got your camera and your sound working, it looks like, so that's excellent.
Thank you. Thank you. It's
Yeah,
good to
and
be here.
I'm glad to have you all here. And please come to other classes, come to the same class again. You sometimes will hear different things because of the questions that we get asked. Twee, thank you so much for some of your comments in the chat. It sounds like you have some experience with this, with natural remedies, I should say, and common ailments. And we are at time now, so I'm going to say goodbye, and I hope to see you all in my other classes. Thank you, everybody.
Thank you.
Good to see you all.
Thank you.
Bye,
Bye-bye.
Thank you.
everyone. You're very welcome. You're very welcome.